Welcome. Thanks for joining me. Let's go ahead and get started in any comfortable seated position. You can prop the hips up, take any hand gesture that you're comfortable with. It helps you to feel settled in your body. You can close your eyes or have the eyes slightly open, but either way, do your best to let your eyes rest at one point. So it always helps slow the mind down a little bit. Help us to concentrate more on our breathing pattern. Take the first few breaths to bring more awareness into any tension that you can let go of on the exhale. So the first few exhalations here, just start to pay attention to any gripping that you might have around the eyes, the jaw, or the top of the shoulders. So begin to use your inhalations to draw your attention inwards, or become more aware of the physical sensation of the breath moving through the nose and the throat and creating some movement in your torso. Increase our awareness of how the body is responding to the breath. As we stay mindful of our breathing pattern and any sensations within our own body, we'll start to bring some attention now to our intention for class. This could be something you'd like to manifest in terms of your health or well-being. It could be a spiritual aspiration you have within your own heart. And as you continue to focus on that intention, take the next 3 breaths with awareness at the heart center, right behind the sternum. Palms together in front of the heart center. We ask and trust that our practice today supports this intention and moves it towards its fullest expression. We'll chant Hari Om 3 times together. Inhale. Slowly open the eyes. And with any props off to the side, we're going to start off on all fours today. Wrists under shoulders and knees under hips. And take your time, get yourself set up, fingers spread wide. We'll start with a simple cat-cow stretch. Tailbone, chest, and head all lifting up. Feel that length in the torso as you take your breath in. As you exhale, you can tuck that tailbone, draw the navel back towards the spine, and also relax the neck muscles. And go back and forth, being attentive to the whole spine, muscles along the spine, muscles in the upper, lower back. Notice any areas that might need a little more attention. So being mindful of that engagement from the lower belly up toward the rib cage on the exhale. Really being aware of some of those deeper muscles just above and behind the pubic bone. Sure, we're not compressing the back of the neck, but feel like we're lengthening from the navel all the way up through the throat when you're inhaling. Do one more full round. Take your time, and then we'll come to more of a neutral position for the spine on the next breath in. So those natural curves come back, And then once you're there, bring the knees in closer toward midline. Make any adjustments with the palms that you need to. Take the right leg back and up. Keep the knee bent here. Right. Knee to the right. Knee comes toward the center and slightly forward. And then you're going to hit those 3 points as you move in a circle. Keeping the upper back strong. We're not bending the left elbow, even though we'll feel like we're leaning a little bit to the left. Want to make sure we've got that integrity in the upper back. We're going to stay on the same leg. Reverse the direction that you're rotating the leg in. And make sure you're checking with your breathing pattern. So even though we're not connecting the breath with the movement, you want to be mindful that you're not pulling the breath in or out. One last round on that side. Take your time. You'll end up with the right knee next to the left. Make minor adjustments to the upper half of the body. We'll start with the left leg, backing up. Strong glutes. A little squeezing of the heel here too, engaging the hamstring muscle. And then to the side, and then forward and down. And get as full range of motion here as we can. Just find like the slower the better. Reverse the direction. So be mindful of bringing articulation into that joint. And last full round there. Once the knees are close together, we're going to take the knees hip width distance apart. Curl the toes under. Bring wrists a couple inches in front of the shoulders. A lot of you have done this with me in the past. It's pretty subtle but effective exercise. When you bring your shoulders forward, you should be in more of a modified plank. So my knees are going to be a little further back than my hips. I'm going to come back on the exhale. I'm going to try not to let my heels splay away from each other, but have that contact of the big toe right on the floor, so that we have more weight in the big toe than the pinky toe. And as you come back, be aware of the internal rotation of the upper leg bone here. You might also feel what's happening here, what you're able to access here deep in the hip structure. So this isn't a power move. We're going to take it slow on the way forward and back. And this one will be breath enhanced. And inhale forward, stop at modified plank, get a little strengthening there. And on the exhalation, we'll draw that lower belly back, belly toward thighs, neutral neck. Go back and forth at your own pace. Inhaling forward and exhaling back. Make sure you're not sinking the hip. Keep the integrity in the navel when you're drawing the shoulders over the wrists. Let the repetition of this movement start to free up some of the deeper muscles in the hip structure, especially if you've been sitting a lot. Most in a chair, most likely you've been in a lot of external rotation with the thigh bones. This starts to bring some compensation into the hips for you. We'll do one last round. The next time you're inhaling and coming forward, you're going to keep the shoulders over the wrists, keep toes curled on, and then downward facing dog as you exhale this time. And then if it feels good to bend one knee, press your opposite heel, do more of that stretch in the hamstring, back line of the leg. Make minor adjustments or shifts in the upper half of the body, but keep the basic shape to the posture. Wrap the shoulder blades a little bit. Relax the neck muscles fully. 5-second breath in, 5-second breath out. And then we'll bring the knees down. Take knees wide, tops of the feet to the floor. Take hips all the way back toward the heels as much as you can for child's pose, and then stretch the arms out as far as you can. We'll get more of a side stretch here with the lower back. Take a few breaths here. Feel the ribcage expanding out in all directions as you breathe in. You might also feel a little compression there in the sides of your abdominal area where the ascending and descending colon live. Lift the heart and head up. On the next breath in, we're going to bring the head over the shoulders, or head through the shoulders. Curl the, keep the tops of the feet on the floor. Bring the chest through the arms. Keep the navel firm. Float the knees up away from the floor. And then on the next exhale, bring knees down, curl toes under back into downward facing dog. Alright, so we're going to take a short sequence here to get all these joints warmed up. As you inhale, come forward to the top of a push-up. As you exhale, back into child's pose. And you can take the knees as wide as is comfortable for you. Belly can rest on the thighs here. You don't have to go down too far. As you inhale, come forward. We're going to go into that same back bend here. So keep the navel firm, keep the chest lengthening and lifting, and then downward facing dog. And then we're going to do that 2 more times. Go at your own pace, so you might move faster or slower than me. Plank pose follows down dog. Child's pose follows that posture. Inhale. Take this upward facing dog, broaden the collarbones, strong through the fingertips and palms, and then downward facing dog. Last round. Take your time. All meet up in downward facing dog. And then we'll get the right foot to the outside of the right wrist for a wide runner's lunge. Make sure that foot and right hand are lined up with each other. Left arm is going to stay supportive. Twist toward the right. And from this position on your next inhale, you're going to come out of the twist, bend your right elbow, draw the right ribcage to the inside of the thigh. You'll feel navel and chest move toward the floor. If the right arm doesn't touch, that's okay. And then go back and forth. So you're exhaling into the twist, inhaling, deepening the flexion in the hip. Stay rooted through ball mount of right big toe throughout the whole movement. We're going to do about 5 rounds here. After your 5 rounds, you're going to take right foot back. Once the right palm is down, downward facing dog. And on the next exhale, left foot will come forward. Wide runner's lunge. Set yourself up here. Right arm stays supported. Wrists under shoulder. Twist to the left. And on your next inhale, come out of that twist. Belly and chest toward floor. And then go back and forth. Twist from the waist so you really feel the action coming from the lower rim of the rib cage, spine area, traveling up the spine between the shoulder blade area. Hips stay pretty fixed here. Back leg strong. 5 rounds on this side. After those 5 rounds, find your way back into downward facing dog. And then from that downward facing dog, start to walk the hands back toward the feet. Once the heels reach the floor, come up halfway to lengthen the torso. Bend the knees generously, so belly's on thighs, and you're going to tuck the hands under the feet for Headstand. Only straighten the legs as much as you need to get a meaningful stretch in the back line without straining your lower back. And relax the neck muscles so you get some of that traction for the spine. Check in with your breathing pattern. The hands, strong belly, back, legs to come all the way up as you inhale. Touch palms overhead. Keep the gaze downward in case there's any dizziness. And then up with arms alongside the body and Tadasana. Sure knees aren't locked out. Take a couple resting breaths here. Take time for observation. We'll keep the body in one plane for the next side stretch. You're going to bring the arms up. Keep that lower rib cage, front rib cage in. Lean to the left. You grab the right wrist. And hold the shape here. If you feel like the breath is short or becomes erratic, going a little too far, so make sure you've got a nice long inhalation here in the side stretch so you get that expansive quality of the inhale moving into that side body and hip. You're going to come back to center. Grab the left wrist, recheck in with that lower front rib cage before taking a lean to the right. Just notice, like sometimes what I'll see, sometimes in class, is people will start to lean back with this one, or they start to turn their chest toward the floor. So there's two things you can check in with yourself at home, and just make sure we've got the torso and the hips in the same plane. We're not deepening the extension of the lower back. We're gonna come out of that on the inhale, and then arms go alongside the body. And we'll keep heel toe the feet closer together and keep all the toes pointing straight ahead next. Next inhalation, bend the knees, sink the hips, sweep the arms now forward, up, and slightly back. Try not to go past the point where you have to shrug your shoulders or start to feel like there's any pinching in the shoulders. And then we're going to straighten the legs. We're going to take the arms down. You're going to face the palms toward the wall behind you and squeeze the shoulder blades together. This is another one as you continue to stay here and breathe. Notice if the shoulders are tight, you're going to want to jut that lower front rib cage forward and compensate in your spine. Really keep navel firm, rib cage muscles firm, and work on the upper back and shoulder joint. And then go back and forth. Inhale, sink hips, lift heart, arms sweep forward, up, and slightly back. Exhale, squeeze the shoulder blades together, work from the shoulder joint, and continue at your own pace. One more inhale, and one more exhale. Your next inhale, you can then come back to Tadasana, take a couple resting breaths here. Keep the soft gaze at one point as you start to shift your body weight into your left hip. Externally rotate the right thigh for a tree pose. Foot to the inside of calf. Get it on the thigh, get it well above your knee. Grab that ankle and lift the foot up. Palms can stay in front of the chest. If you're feeling confident with your balance, you can interlock the fingers and press the palms up toward the sky. We'll take the arms down, right foot comes down, make sure those right toes are pointing straight ahead, start shifting body weight into the right hip before taking the left leg up. And the arm position that works for you. Free breathing. That soft gaze coming from behind the eyes, so there's no strain around the eyes. Down and left foot down. We're going to face the long edge of the mat next. You take a stance with the arms to a T formation. Your ankles would be about as wide as your elbows. And then we're going to turn the left toes to the short edge, right toes in, and make sure you get heel to heel alignment. Keeping that right knee in the same track as the right toe. Square the shoulders off. Take a hinge at the right hip. The right hand goes anywhere lower than the knee to the inside of the leg. We're going to take a dynamic version of this posture. Once the left arm goes up, make sure you got nice stable hip, back, leg strong, and then on the next exhale, we're going to turn from the pit of the navel, chest toward or facing the floor, left palm touches the right palm. Your shoulders at this point, keep breathing, should be pretty squared off toward the floor. And you're going to go back and forth with this one. The inhalation takes you back into triangle pose. And the exhalation takes you into more of a twist. And go at your own pace. Arms kind of going along for the ride here, so remember we're not wrenching that top arm back at the end of the inhale. And we're doing our best not to turn the right hip toward the floor, but we're turning the right shoulder toward the floor. And then last round, next time you're in triangle pose with the right arm up, go ahead and stay there. And then when you're ready, on your next breath in, bring the torso up. Hands can go to the hips for a moment, and then we'll switch sides and make sure we keep the distance between heels and heel to heel alignment. We've got that set up, relationship between hip and rib cage set up, and take the shape. After you've taken a breather in there, start the dynamic movement. You might even pause and keep breathing on that first exhale just to check in with the left hip. Where are you moving from the spine? Remember, twisting can be a little tricky for some of us, as this is often where we see some imbalances. So as you're going back and forth after that first round, just make sure we're not going to feed any imbalance. We want to be aware of maybe where the work is on this side versus the other side. We do have some shifting of the hip. It's inevitable that we will get some shifting of the hip pelvis bone over the top upper leg bone there. We want to make sure that that's moving freely and we're not compensating in the hip for lack of moving the spine. So we want everything moving relatively. Last round on this side. Take your time. Next time you're inhaling, you'll find triangle pose, and then you'll come up on the next breath in. And then hands can go to the hips, and then we'll meet up in a wider stance with arms to a T formation. Now ankles would be past the elbows, more toward the wrist. And we're going to point the toes slightly inward. Don't overdo this. We're just going from more of an external rotation to internal rotation. So even if the toes are just pointing straight ahead, we're going to work on some of that. But if you have more availability, you might turn the toes in a little bit more. And you're going to feel it when you take your forward fold, if it's too much or not. You're going to feel it more maybe in your sit bones there or behind the knees. So adjust here accordingly. Hands go anywhere lower than the knees. Some of you are taking them to the ankles. Some of you are tucking fingertips underneath the outer edges of the feet. Any of those options. This is as long as you're honest with yourself about where the spine is in space and we're not rounding the upper back excessively to try to grab the feet. Two more breaths here in Padurtanasana. And then release any binds that we have. We're going to come to the fingertips, bend both knees, go into a runner's lunge facing the front edge of the mat. And let's go ahead and make sure we've got the left foot forward. So if you're at home and your right foot ends up being forward with that move, let's go ahead and switch the legs so you get the left leg forward. We're going to bring this back knee down, use a cushion, blanket, doubled up mat or something underneath the knee. So we'll be here for a little bit. We're going to start off in a low lunge. Pretty good angle with the back thigh. Front knee stays over the front ankle for lunging windmills. One more thing you might want to check in with at home is if there's an imbalance or somewhere that is more difficult to access, your left hip is going to lift up a lot higher. You're going to turn the pelvis to the right. This might be a minor adjustment that you make where you get the shoulders or hips pretty squared off and drop that left hip down a little bit. Just notice how that feels when you go back into the sinking of the lunge. You might not even feel like you go into as deep as the lunge or down closer to the floor, but you're going to probably tap into some areas in the body that otherwise you were kind of avoiding. So check in with that at home, and then we're going to keep this front leg stable. Inhale, sweep arms back and up. Exhale, arms, torso forward and down. And then continue with your lunging windmills. Stretching the navel as you come up on the inhale, and the compression on the left side of the navel as you come forward and down. Check in with the hips every once in a while. You're going to have another option, a couple options here. So either next time the arms are down, you're going to have your right hands on the floor, shoulder over the wrist, left hand on left thigh, and then twist, turning the right lower ribcage toward the inside of your left thigh. If at this point you have the availability, reach back for the inside of your right foot with your left hand. You can reach for the bind. And if you lose a little bit of the twist or the lunge, reaching for the bind, once you do have the foot, see if you can regain those two components. And a few more breaths here in a revolving low lunge. On our next inhale, we'll come out of that twist, release the bind, and then we're going to switch sides. Right leg forward, left leg back. Now let's use the same consideration on this side that we did on the other side with lunging. In a lot of these asymmetrical postures, we get the opportunity to see progress, notice if there's any imbalances, patterns in the body. And once you feel like you have your sweet spot, start with the lunging windmills. We're inhale, backing up, exhale, forward and down. Let the whole spine participate here. Being mindful of not resting in the lower back at the end of that inhale, but still feeling maybe you get a little extension in length. That cervical spine, feel a little flexion. The end of the exhale. Let the neck muscles relax a bit more at the end of the exhale. Last full round there. Whichever variation you practice of the revolving low lunge on the first side, do your best to do on this side. Keep in mind that some of the components we've talked about, areas that we might become more aware of in the hips, regardless of whether you have the bind or not. Check in with your breathing pattern. We'll release the bind. We'll sweep that right foot back. So you might want to block, blanket, or combination of props for Virasana. Knees are close together with this. Feet are wide, so we can sit in between the feet. Keep the lower half of the body established. Take alternating swimmers. Right arm up, left arm underneath. On your next exhale, draw the fingertips toward each other. Inhale, switch the arms, and exhale toward the spine. And go at your own pace. Feel the rotation from the joints right in the shoulder girdle. Right? Muscles attached to the shoulder blade, upper arm bone, chest muscles, arm muscles, all participating here. Last round. Do one more with the right arm up and one more with the left arm up. That round. We'll come forward, we'll take any props off to the side. Take downward facing dog for a breath or two. Get the extension back in the legs, dorsal flexion back in the ankle joint. We'll come forward into the top of a push-up before lowering down, Ashtandasana or Chaturanga. And then we'll lift the chest up just enough to lengthen the navel and bring the flat of the belly down. Cross the wrist, place chin on crossed wrist, big toes touch, heels fall away from each other. Take a few resting breaths in Nakrasana. Let the lower back curve settle in. Relax your jaw. we'll lift the heart and head up. We'll get the feet about hip width distance apart, a little wider with the feet if Cobra or Sphinx feels better with wider feet. Elbows are going to start under the shoulders here, forearms and wrists shoulder width distance apart. So you have Sphinx pose here to stay for either a couple breaths and then come up into Cobra. You can stay in Sphinx the whole time. Or if you feel like you've got the extension of the spine available, you can lift those elbows up. Just make sure you don't shrug the shoulders or lock the elbows out. Me usually have a little micro bend to the elbows. Feel like I'm broadening the collarbones. Really have a solid base in the hips and the legs. One more full breath. Either Cobra or Sphinx pose. Lower down, you can let elbows splay out. And then I'll give you the option here of either taking Cobra or Sphinx pose for a second round, or reaching back for the outside of both ankles and tops of the feet for both. Make sure you got a strong bind there at the crook of the foot. Engage your glutes first, help lift thighs. And that lift to the chest. Next, inhalation, lower down, release the bind if you have bow. Arms alongside the body, palms up, left ear to the floor. Relax everything into the floor. Arms, legs, hips, shoulders, relax your neck and jaw. Next, inhale, lift heart and head up. Turn your head to the other side and lower down. Settle everything back into the floor. Next, inhale, lift heart and head up at the same time. We'll take hands under shoulders, curl the toes under, leave knees on the floor, push chest and belly away from the floor, strong, strong navel. And then we'll take the hips back over the knees, arms walk out in front for quarter dog. As you lower chest and belly down, feel out signals in the shoulders and spine. Keep enough weight moving back to the hip structure to maintain length in the torso. Relax the neck last. A few breaths there. That traction in the spine. Keep creating space in the shoulder joint. In this shape, we'll lift the heart and head up, keep the right palm where it's at. You're going to sweep the left arm under the right, shoulder and head to the floor. Right elbow might have a little bend to it here, but keep the upper back feeling supportive so all the weight doesn't just rest into your neck and head. Relax any unnecessary tension around your left shoulder blade. Push into the right palm, back through, and change sides. Left arm supports, right arm sweeps underneath. Push off on the inhale. We'll bring forearms down, interlock fingers, elbows shoulder width. From there, get elbows or shoulders over elbows. Extend legs straight back. Once you have the low plank shape, if you want to bring the knees down, you can, but keep navel, ribcage muscles firm. Maybe 15 more seconds here. Those ribcage muscles firm. You're going to feel a little more movement in the center and back of your body as you breathe in. And then we'll lower down. Take a couple resting breaths. Make sure your breath and heart feel regulated before going up into your inversion for today. You can either use a wall behind you if you're jumping all the way up. If you use the wall for prep pose, sitting feet on the wall, the L shape. Remember in preps, we're not bringing the head to the floor yet. And then remember, you've always got mat work to work on. So from that plank pose, we lift those hips up and we take this one-legged dolphin pose. The knee bent, so we get a little more weight of the foot over the heart. We take that shape there for 4 breaths on each side. If you're up, staying up in headstand, anywhere between 7 and 10 full breaths. If you're doing the prep, you feel like you start losing integrity in the upper body in any way, shape, or form, please come down 1 foot at a time, slowly rest. And if you feel like you can readjust, reset, and come back up for another round, feel free to do that. Those of you that might be new to practicing with me or to any kind of preparatory exercises, if you have a wall or a piece of furniture that's not moving anywhere, make sure it's very, very stable. You can set yourself up with the arms just like we did with the plank, and then bring 1 foot up here, the other foot follows. You can use a couch, chair. Just again, make sure it's up against a wall, it's not going to move anywhere. You can also use a wall space. Good place to start. Take your time, no rush. We'll meet back up on our mats in the seated position. Again, there's no rush. I'm going to give you another minute here to take your time. I want you to make sure you take your resting breaths if you moved your way toward the wall. Find our way on the mat with the legs extended out in front. Seated forward folds or seated twists are more comfortable for you with elevated hips. Now's the time you're going to want to elevate the hips. With staff pose, you can also have the knees bent here if it helps you to get more length in the torso. If you feel like you're slouching, it's best to elevate the hips and bend the knees. Wrists are about 1 inch behind the hips. Fingertips or palms are going to be supportive on floor or on the blanket or bolster that you're practicing on, and then we're going to hold this shape here. And if you're able to straighten the legs and keep a nice long feeling in the torso, feel free to straighten the legs. Soft gaze toward the big toes. Check in with your breathing pattern. Just going back to that effortless breath, even if you're practicing ujjayi breathing, that rasping breath. Can maintain that type of breathing with less effort. One more breath in staff pose. The next inhale, we'll take the hands away here, and you can keep the hips elevated. We're going to bend the left knee, bring the sole of the right foot underneath your left thigh, and the heel is going to come closer toward the hip. The right knee comes down to the floor. And you have a couple options here. You can bring that left foot to the inside of shin. If you can take it to the outside of the thigh, that's your next step. We're going to wrap that right arm around the shin, lift and lengthen the chest away from the hips, but then sink the hip down and then twist at the very end here on the exhale. Keep shoulders away from ears. Any of you out there are familiar With any other binding options for this twist, arm to the outside of the leg or binding underneath the leg, feel free to take those options. And we'll follow through the twist slightly through the cervical spine, letting the chin float over the left collarbone. Hold the shape. Letting go of any unnecessary tension in the lower half of the body while maintaining integrity and length along your spine. Inhale, we'll come out of the twist, and then we'll switch sides. Unravel the legs, left heel toward right hip, sole the right foot as firmly planted as we can get it. Before you take on a full twist, get your bind, drop that right hip, lengthen, and then twist. Any struggle or strain, might be pushing ourselves a bit much. Sometimes when we're getting into a new shape or exploring boundaries, there might be a little shimmy, but you should be able to regain fluid breath after those 1 or 2 first breaths of adjusting. Next, and then we'll come out of that twist. We'll unravel the legs and take any props off to the side, move hips forward, and then come on to the back. Once you're on the back, have your knees bent, feet hip width distance apart, parallel, pretty close to the hips with the heels but not touching. Arms are going to be alongside the body. Make an adjustment in your upper back so you feel shoulders are not pulled strongly away from the ears, but not hunched toward the ears, and you feel upper back muscles are pretty supportive here before taking hips up away from the floor. Root through those 3 points in the soles of our feet, ball mount of big toe, ball mount of pinky toe, and the center of our heel. If it's available, you can interlock fingers underneath the hips here. Feel like you need a little bit more of a stretch for your shoulders. Otherwise, you keep the arms alongside the body with the palms down, using those upper arms and back to help move a little more of that thoracic spine to extension. Next inhale, we'll lower the spine and hips down. And we'll take the feet out wide, keeping knees bent, arms T formation, palms up. Some windshield wipers, knees to one side, head turns to the other side on the exhale. Back to center with knees and chin on your inhale, and back and forth. Breath with the movement. The legs feel like they're suspended for a moment as you follow through with your exhale. Even take a moment at the center or the top at the very end of the inhale, so we're not rushing the inhale either. Last round here. Next time, hips or the knees are back to center and chin are back to center. You can take a few moments to assess the physical body. If there's any other simple posture or movement you feel bring further compensation into the body, take a moment to do that for yourself. We'll all meet up in corpse pose. Set yourself up in any particular way. Another layer of clothes, maintain body temperature. Take your time. Continue to settle in. All the muscles and the bones give in to gravity. Keep drawing your attention inward. Mindful of any sensations in your body, physical or subtle. And stay receptive to all that's within your highest good in regards to healing and resolution. times, start to take deeper breaths in and start to create some movement in the physical body. Eventually find your way back up to a comfortable seated position. You may want the hips a little higher than the knees. Find a seated position, have the fingers interlocked and thumbs touching, have the arms resting on the thighs. You guys closed or halfway open, the eyes rest at one point as you start to focus on the physical sensation of your breath, moving through the nose and the throat. Begin counting the breath to yourself, with an emphasis on finding a comfortable count for your inhale. So as you're counting the breath to yourself, I want you to, after the next few breaths, settle on a count for your inhale that's sustainable, that feels really comfortable for you. You have that count, you'll lengthen your exhale by 2 or 3 seconds. Lengthening the exhale by just 2 or 3 seconds. 3 seconds feels like it's a little long, or you have to put a lot of physical effort into it, and drop it down to 2 seconds. Usually that's a sweet spot for a lot of people. But depending on your breathing practice, your breathing practices that you're doing, 3 seconds might feel comfortable. Count the inhale and make your exhale 2 or 3 seconds longer. Just about 3 minutes. exhale and resume a natural breathing pattern. Just take the Last minute or so here for observation. Neutral witness. Is there any shifts in the condition of the mind, nervous system, physical body? Attention to drift outward a bit. Become more aware of the space and the sounds around you. As you exhale, feel the support of the floor underneath you. Your body weight settled into spine and hips. Palms together in front of the heart center. We'll take a few moments for reflection and gratitude. Anything that moves through our hearts and our minds, we'd like to acknowledge and give thanks for. We'll seal the practice by chanting Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Inhale. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. May all beings, without one exception, know peace and be released from suffering. So it is, and so it shall be. So open the eyes. Everyone, thanks for joining me tonight. If you joined for the live class, I appreciate you out there practicing with me. If you have watching the recording, keep in mind you can always email us any questions that you might have, info@tejasyogachicago.com. Either way, we'd love to hear from you, and thanks for practicing with us, and I'll see you next time. Bye, everyone.